Serial killer Billy Chemirmir. He is charged with killing 18 older women across Dallas and Collin counties. Billy
Chemirmir is accused of killing at least 18 women here in North Texas over a 2-year span, and today began the murder trial for just one of those.
The third trial of suspected serial killer Billy Chemirmir is coming to a close. Testimony is wrapped up for the day. Murder trial for Billy Chemirmir. He is charged with killing 22 women across North Texas.
Police say he was a stranger at the door. Prosecutors say he was the last face 18 elderly women saw before being murdered in their homes. Monday morning, accused serial killer Billy Chemirmir will walk through the door of a Dallas County courtroom.
It's often said that evil hides in plain sight. For years, Billy Chemirmir, a man with an unassuming demeanor, moved silently through nursing homes and private residences across Texas. His victims, elderly women, vulnerable and trusting, were all found dead. Their families left to believe that they had passed peacefully in their final days. But the truth was far darker. Billy Chemirmir, a serial killer hiding in the shadows, was responsible for one of the most shocking murder sprees in recent history. How did he get away with it for so long? Born in Kenya, Billy Chemirmir moved to the United States with hopes of building a new life. He found work as a healthcare aide, where he could blend into the environment where trust is the foundation. It was a perfect cover. Someone who had access to people's homes, who was expected to be there to help. But instead of offering care, Chemirmir saw opportunity. As he moved through different jobs, those who worked with him described him as unremarkable. No one suspected that this man harbored a monstrous intent. He chose his victims carefully, elderly women, mostly living alone or in assisted care, with a few people keeping close watch over them. Phyllis Payne was 91 years old when she was found dead in her Dallas home. To those who loved her, it seemed like a natural passing. Payne had lived a long life, and there were no obvious signs of foul play. But something was missing. Her wedding ring, an heirloom passed down through generations, was gone. The family, overwhelmed by grief, did not immediately suspect that this was more than a random theft. For Chemirmir, this was his modus operandi. He would gain access to the victims' homes, smother them with a pillow or another soft fabric, then steal their valuables. It was a perfect crime. No signs of a struggle, no obvious wounds, just an elderly woman found peacefully in her home. As the months passed, more elderly women began to die under similar circumstances. There was Doris Gleason, 92, who had just moved into a senior living facility, and Joan Purdy, 82, found dead with her jewelry missing. In each case, there were no signs of forced entry, no obvious signs of foul play. For families, their deaths were heartbreaking, but nothing seemed out of place. But there were clues, small details that began to catch the attention of law enforcement. Valuables missing from the homes of the deceased. The quiet frequency of deaths in senior living facilities. It wasn't until 2018 that these scattered cases would be linked to a single man. The turning point came in March 2018 with the attack of 91-year-old Mary Bartell. Bartell had lived in a senior apartment complex like many of Chemirmir's other victims, but unlike them, she survived. On that day, Chemirmir had passed as a maintenance worker, gaining access to her apartment with ease. Once inside, he shoved a pillow over her face, attempting to smother her, but Bartell fought back. Somehow, she survived the brutal attack. Shaken and terrified, Batel provided police with detailed descriptions of her attacker. She described his cold eyes, the force he used as he held the pillow down, and the suddenness of the assault. Batel's descriptions led police to investigate further, and within days, Billy Chemirmir was arrested.
The door opened inward because I remember when I went to the door, and you know, they say before you open the door, ask, who is it? Well, if it's one of my neighbors, they're probably as deaf as I am, and I would never know who was at the door.
Okay.
So anyway, the door was opening inward, and when my eyes were just fixated on these green rubber gloves that I saw. And I knew instantly when I saw those two green rubber gloves, number one, I should not have opened the door. Number two, my life was in grave danger. I tried to push the door shut, but my perpetrator was 45 and I'm 91, so I didn't have any success in pushing the door shut.
Okay.
So he was inside in my apartment, and he said, "Don't fight me, lie on the bed." So I did as he said, because I knew I could not overpower him physically. And of course, as soon as I lay down on the bed, she told me to lie down on the bed. Anyway, he just smashed a pillow down hard over my face and my chest, and I just couldn't breathe. And I tried to move this left hand under the pillow to get to my medical alert button. I'm not wearing it here because it doesn't work more than 700 or 800 feet from the monitor. Anyway, it was totally impossible for me to even, the pillow was slammed down so hard over my head and my chest that there was no way I could even move my hand toward the medical alert button. So anyway, after, I don't know, 3 minutes or however long, it seemed longer than that, of course, that he was just using all his weight to keep me from breathing at all, I passed out. And as soon as I lost consciousness,
Billy Chemirmir was arrested attempting to discard a red jewelry box that linked him to Lucy Harris, another elderly woman found dead just a day earlier. Once Chemirmir was in custody, a full scale of his crimes began to unfold. Investigators started connecting the dots between the sudden deaths of elderly women across Dallas and Collin counties. Many of these women had been found in senior living facilities, their deaths initially ruled as natural. But as the detectives reviewed the cases, a disturbing pattern emerged. Most of the victims had been suffocated, and all had missing jewelry and valuables. Among the 22 victims was 87-year-old Phoebe Perry, a woman known for her sparkling personality and love for her family. She had been found dead in her room, her jewelry box emptied. For months, her death was chalked up to old age, but in reality, she had been Chemirmir's prey. For the families of Chemirmir's victims, the revelations were devastating. In an emotional press conference, the daughters of Doris Gleason tearfully recounted the moment she found out her mother had been murdered. I thought my mom had died of old age. I kissed her goodbye, thinking she was at peace. But now, every time I think of her last moments, I think of the terror she must have felt. In April 2022, Chemirmir faced justice. He was convicted of the capital murder of Lucy Harris and Mary Brooks. The courtroom was filled with the families of his other victims, who watched silently as he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The trial was brief, but the weight of Chemirmir's action hung over the room like a dark cloud. During the trial, Chemirmir sat stoically, denying his involvement. He refused to show remorse, but the evidence was overwhelming. Batel's testimony, the jewelry found in his possession, the mounting deaths, all painted to a single man.
Prolific serial killers in all of Texas, and today he was found dead in his prison cell.
In September 2023, Billy Chemirmir's story came to an unexpected close. He was found dead in his prison cell, killed by his cellmate. While the exact details remain unclear, many saw his death as a form of poetic justice. For a man who had taken the lives of so many, his violent end felt fitting, though it brought little comfort to the families of his victims. Some expressed that Chemirmir would never harm another person again, but for others, his death left questions unanswered.